Hi, I'm Chase Stanton. I'm the station manager here at SCTN. Today I'm joined by Nancy Crisp, who is the manager of the Saline Farmers Market. We're going to talk a little bit about the market, kind of a general overview. The winter market's going on right now, so we might touch on that a little bit more.
Okay.
But in general, just some information for anyone who hasn't been there or maybe wants to find out a little bit more. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So to start out with, for people who don't know, how was the farmers market started here in Saline?
Well, back in 2000, Gretchen Driscoll, our mayor at the time, went to a workshop on markets at the Municipal League. And she came back wanting to start a market, thought it would be very valuable to Saline. So she and the city manager at the time asked me if I'd like to start one. They didn't know how much I loved markets.
Oh,
They
okay.
just knew that I had worked for the Chamber of Commerce for a couple of years and thought I would be able to handle an event like that. And so I said yes, and I started the process.
Great. And so you mentioned that they knew you worked for the chamber before. What was kind of your other background that they decided you would be right for this position?
Well, I was administrative assistant. I've been office manager, secretarial for a long time, and it takes a lot of organization to do
Yeah.
this market. And I had bookkeeping experience, and so I felt like I had what was needed in
Yeah.
order to take care of all the details of the market. And I didn't really ask them, to tell you the truth. I just assumed, but they evidently thought I would do a good job, so they offered it to me.
And had you been involved in farmers markets at all before? Or
Not
just
at all,
had
except
been
for
to them? Yeah.
just going to the Ann Arbor market was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so it's grown a lot. What was it like the first few years? I'm assuming it was a lot smaller.
Well, in the beginning, I just visited other markets,
Okay.
Ann Arbor, Chelsea, Manchester, and I asked them, well, I would say, can you clone yourself and come to our market
Yeah.
too? And I think I had around 6 vendors in the beginning. It was just a 3-week trial in the beginning.
Mhm.
And then the next year, those vendors told other people about it, and then we advertised and got more vendors. So it was pretty small in the beginning, but it grew, and now I don't have to recruit vendors. They come to me. In fact, I have to turn some away.
Really?
Yeah.
And so kind of how many vendors do you have at a regular market now?
Well, in the summer markets, both the Saturday and the Tuesday, we have between, I want to say 15 and 20. You know, it varies.
Mhm.
If it's in the beginning, it might not be quite that many. And then at the Tuesday market, I created another row down the middle, so we have a little bit more room that we can grow. The winter market, I can probably accommodate up to 45 vendors. We had our highest number this year was 39 vendors before Christmas. Now it's back down to maybe 22 to 25 vendors.
Wow. So it's grown quite a bit from
Yes.
6 vendors.
Yes.
You mentioned the 3 different markets, the Saturday summer market, the Tuesday market, and the winter's market. Can you kind of talk about how they're a little bit different?
Well, I have to make them separate because it's a separate budget for
Okay.
them, and the vendors that attend the one market pays a fee, a separate fee for each market.
Okay.
And that really is the difference, except they're in different locations too. You know,
Yeah.
the Saturday market is downtown, the Tuesday is at the library, and the
Okay.
winter is at Liberty School. So they're all, I organize them separately. Some of the same vendors come to 1, 2, 3 of them, you know, it depends
Yeah.
on the vendor. But they all pay separate fees for each or for each market.
Okay. And so how did you kind of decide those locations? You mentioned the library, Liberty, and then downtown, it's in one of the parking lots downtown, correct?
Yes, it's in the parking lot on South Ann Arbor Street. Originally, Gretchen and I looked at those locations. We looked at another location too, but settled on that one because it was so central to
Yeah.
downtown, and that was one of her intentions. She wanted it right downtown. And then as time went on, we wanted to open one. In fact, what are we into our 13th year in the summer market? Yeah.
Wow.
And then a couple of years ago, was it 2010, we started the library.
Wow.
And Leslie Neathammer, the director at the library, had an event called the food fair, I think she called it, and had various vendors there.
Okay.
And we were talking about wouldn't it be nice to have a market that was in the afternoon and
Yeah.
midweek. And then she thought it over and says, well, why don't we have it in the library parking lot? So she offered that. And that's how that was started.
Yeah.
The winter market, let's see now, get my dates straight. I think that was in 2010. The vendors wanted an indoor market, but we didn't know where it would be. David Rhodes has a business, and
Okay.
one of his tenants moved out and said that we could use that room for a market, but it didn't give me enough time to go to the city and make a proposal. So the vendors started one there, and they had about 10 vendors.
Wow.
And then the next year, they asked me if I would take over, and I prepared a proposal and a budget and went to the city. And David Rhodes is the one that talked to Joe Freeman over at Liberty School.
Okay.
And asked him if we could use Liberty School, and he said yes. So that's how that was started.
Great. You mentioned that now you don't even really need to recruit vendors because they come to you, but how did that process start when you started looking for people to come?
Well, like I had said before, I just went to various markets.
Okay.
I didn't really know quite what I was doing, to tell you
Yeah.
the truth. I just know I had to come up with vendors. But I think the thing that really worked the best is when the vendors I had started spreading the word.
Okay.
And some of them, I think, were going to Ipsy Market, and they spread the word. And so they really helped me get vendors. And then we had a meeting, and there were a whole lot of people that came, some that were vendors, some that wanted to be vendors, and we talked about the market. And then there was a lot more interest at that point. We also created some rules at that point as well.
And so speaking of rules, sort of, the Saline Farmers Market is produce only, correct?
Yes. Well, not produce only, it's growers only.
Growers only, okay. And so that includes produce, but also flowers.
It includes all kinds of produce, including the veggies and the fruit. It includes flowers, but also vegetable plants and shrubs and cut flowers and all of those annual flowering plants that we want in the summer. We have some wonderful baked goods. You know, it just there's lots of people that come for the baked goods as well. And then for the summer markets, not as many crafts. But I do fill in. We've got things like meat now. That was just started,
Wow.
I think that was a year ago, that more meat vendors are coming. And then eggs, we have one person that brings eggs that sells out practically every time. It's just wonderful to have such fresh eggs. We have a coffee vendor. He's got great coffee. Let's see, jams and jellies and all kinds of specialty items. Now at the winter market, of course, I have a lot more crafts kinds of items. We still have produce. People say, well, what would you have at the winter market? I says, well, these people have, the produce people actually planted more so they could have things that they could store, like winter squash and potatoes and carrots and things like that. And I still have those at the market, and some of my vendors have what's called hoop houses, which is like a greenhouse, but they can still plant their vegetables in the ground and keep them a little bit warmer.
Wow.
So we've had some very sweet, juicy carrots that have been available because of that.
Wow.
And then we have a lot of specialty items, the soaps, and we have maple syrup, all kinds of candy items and handmade stuff. It's well, when you come into the market and you see how many vendors, it takes a while to get through all of them, but it's a good market.
Wow, it seems like there's something for everyone. It's not just fruit and veggies.
No, not at all, not at all.
There's also 2 master gardeners who attend the market. Can you kind of talk about what they do and what they bring to the market when they come?
Sure. Well, first of all, they bring a table full of books, all kinds of reference books, and then any customer can come up and ask them a question about gardening or about a certain kind of bug they have, and they'll look it up, or if they know, they'll tell them. They'll look it up, and if they don't know the answer, then they'll go see if they can find the answer and get back to the customer. So it's a really nice offering. They're there May and June. In fact, they're at the table next to the bridge card table. And then they're there again in September and October.
Great. And so they're a resource that
They're
anyone
a resource.
could use.
Yes, absolutely.
Great.
And they're only at the Saturday Summer Market right now.
Oh, okay. And so going from that and speaking about how it's a market for everyone, I think there's probably a stereotype that farmers markets are only for people who are really well off and can afford really expensive organic produce. But you actually not only accept bridge cards, but also have an initiative called Project Fresh. Can you talk about those?
We do, and just all of the vegetables are not certified organic. The farmers are conscious of all of that, but to become certified is quite a process, and it's expensive.
Yeah.
So we have fresh, locally grown, and maybe it is sometimes higher than grocery stores, but sometimes it's not. You can buy just what you want. You don't have to buy too much.
Yeah.
The Project Fresh programs are wonderful. They're a program for both the seniors, the elderly, and I shouldn't say that, they're not always elderly, but anyways, the seniors, and also women with infant children, and
Okay.
they get coupons that they can spend at the market. The coupons are worth $2 each, and they can take that to one of the vendors and buy what they need for
Wow.
that. The Bridge Card, which is formerly known as the Food Stamp Program, which I think most people are familiar with, we just started doing that last year. We can run their card at the Saturday Summer Market. We have the equipment now. We have electricity there, and then they get tokens, $1 increments, and they can take these tokens to the vendors and then buy what they need as well. Now the Bridge Card, you can buy produce and baked goods. The Project Fresh is only for fresh produce.
Okay.
And for seniors, it's honey. There's various things that they can buy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think it's a good service, and I'm really wanting more and more people to know that we do take the Bridge Card, so we can build
Yeah.
that program up.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that the prices really are very reasonable. And I know I've been
Mhm.
there myself, and it's not really that far off going to a grocery
No,
store.
I don't think so either. Some of the if I have an organic
Mhm.
vendor, they might charge a little bit more, but it's sometimes worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think talking about all of that, and aside from just more vendors and more locations and dates, how else have you seen the market grow, do you think?
Well, one of the things I think is really special about farmers markets is that the vendors themselves get to know one another, and it's like a family. And so the energy at farmers markets is really homey, and it's very upbeat. People come just to come to the market sometimes. They also bring their dogs. You know, at one point we were counting dogs, and oh my, we had like 50 or something at a market. And so I think the farmers markets are a place that people come to socialize. And so it's absolutely for buying things, but also it's an event. It's a destination where they come on Saturdays or Tuesdays. Yeah.
Great. And so for anyone who would want to visit the market, what are some kind of the dates and times for each of them, and just some of the general information?
The Saturday Summer Market runs from 8 a.m. to noon every Saturday morning, and that's downtown on South Ann Arbor Street. It's a parking lot that's just a half a block south, of Michigan Ave.
Okay.
And then on Tuesdays, the market runs from 3 in the afternoon to 7, and that's at the Saline District Library, which is off of North Maple.
Okay.
And then the winter market is at Liberty School. Oh, and I didn't mention the Tuesday market runs from June through September.
Okay.
And then the winter market begins in November and runs through April, and that's from 9 a.m. to noon.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And for anyone who wants to find out more information, website or phone number, or?
Well, my phone number is 734-429-3518.
Okay.
Or they can visit our website at cityofsaline.org/farmersmarket.
Okay. I know there's also a blog that the farmers market's part of, I believe.
Well, I do Facebook. I try
Okay.
to get things up on my Facebook page, which is Saline Farmers Market.
Okay.
I blog on the Patch, the Saline Patch, and the Saline Post.
Okay.
And I also have a blog that connects with the Heritage newspaper,
Oh.
Saline Reporter.
Great.
Yeah. This is all new technology for me. I'm doing my best to get everything out there.
Or just, come and stop by.
That's right. Oh, yes, absolutely. We would like everybody to come and stop by.
Great. And so is there anything we haven't covered that you'd want people to know about the market, or?
Oh, gee, I don't want to miss anything. The winter market right now is really a lot of fun. It's indoors and it's nice and warm. And we even have a new vendor that's selling oatmeal and homemade soup. There's a new law that says a restaurant can bring that kind of thing to the market. So that's a new addition.
Wow.
So they can come and have their breakfast even if they want to. But it is a lot of fun, and I just really encourage everybody to stop by the winter market. Well, all of the markets, but right now the winter market, and just see what's there for them.
Great. Yeah, and I know I've been to the summer one, and it really is a great community event, and there's
It is, yeah.
a great sense of community, I guess.
It
is the
really,
best.
yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Well, if that's it, then I want to thank you for coming in and doing the show with me. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and be sure to check out the farmers markets.
Well, thank you for having me.
This has been an SCT